we're going to start with basic buttercream today in a few different techniques. We're going to start with having our buttercream, our cake, and our cake turntable, which is a heavy base turntable. We've got spare scrap fondant here in a bowl mixed with a little bit of water. This just makes it sticky so it can stick to the cake board. We've got our plastic scrapers, metal scrapers, our palette knives. We've got rubber ones to mix our cake colours and our buttercream, a piping bag, scissors, cake boards and spare bowls. So first we're going to do our crumb coating. We've got our cake that's cut and filled on a 6-inch board. We've got our buttercream here, which we're just going to give a quick stir just to get out any air bubbles that are in there, just to make it easier to work with as well, especially if it's cold weather. We've also got our crank handle spatula and our scraper ready to go. We've also got our board sitting here, so we're ready with that, and our sticky fondant as well. First we're going to start at the top of the cake and put some icing on top. Now remember, this is a crumb coat, so you don't have to be perfect with it. It's just to seal in all the crumbs so they don't get into your finished icing. We're just using the crank handle, keeping it as straight as possible, working the icing out to the edges and scraping off any excess. Don't go too thin on this, as you'll actually catch the crumbs into your buttercream, and we're trying to seal those crumbs in. We want the overhang on the edges, because we're going to use that now to start working the edges around. And we continue just to pick up a little bit of icing at each time and just work in sections. And continue to push all the icing into those little gaps. And sealing in all those little crumbs that you can see that are coming up. So when we do our top layer, you won't see any of that. Now, so I don't dirty the buttercream that I've got sitting here, I'm just going to use my spare bowl to put any excess into. Using the plastic scraper, doing it straight, we're going to move that around the cake and make a thin edge by removing some of the buttercream icing at the same time. Any of these gaps that you can see, you can reuse that icing to fill in those edges. And keep scraping off your scraper and putting it back into the bowl. Remembering that this doesn't have to be perfect, as we're going to have another coat of buttercream on top. It's just there to seal in those crumbs. When you get to the top, you're just going to scrape inwards and take off those excess pieces at the top. This will also give you a good sharp edging, so when you work your top layer of your buttercream, it will be nice and smooth. Once done, you're going to get your little bit of sticky fondant. Place it into the center of your board and put your cake on top. Without sticking your finger in the side. And then you're going to freeze that until it's nice and firm, so then you can put your top layer on. Scrape off any excess and get rid of it, so you're ready to start your next section.